Guys, I saw a picture this morning. Luke Rockhold in an ice bath looked as though he was recovering from a workout, and he says, I'm coming back. So the question becomes, coming back to what, and what does that look like in this regard? Step one with Luke Rockhold, what weight? I have always wanted to see Luke Rockhold versus Chris Weidman part 2. That was an incredible first fight, a lot on the line, title changed hands. Over 2-1 favorite was Weidman being upset. Fourth round was very interesting. I mean, there was a lot of reasons there why I wanted to see that fight again, and I just personally would still like to see that fight. And I think if you're playing this game, I don't think that you get to respond to me by telling me how much you want to see that fight. Your response to me would have to be, no, I'd rather see Luke fight, and then fill in the blank, and I'll listen. But for Luke, who's been out for a minute, if he's going to come back and just test the waters, and that's okay, okay, fine. But if he's going to come back to what he's used to, which is being one of the feature and promoted fights of the card, it's going to have to be against the right guy. For me, purely as a fan, I've always wanted to see him fight Weidman, but that would also consist of him coming back at 185. Now, something strange could happen. Luke Rockhold, having made this announcement, somebody could go and fight this weekend, grab a microphone, call him out, and we're having a different conversation. But Luke doesn't do the best job of specifically calling somebody out, and I don't remember somebody calling Luke out all the way back when he was champion. Guys didn't want to fight him. He's pretty damn good. The other question comes, is he going to return at 205? Because, you know, Luke's last loss is looking better. It's looking better. At the time that it happened, the former champion Luke Rockhold just got knocked out by a guy from Poland. Now the guy from Poland has a different moniker called the Polish Hammer. Oh, by the way, he has one more moniker. He's called the World Champion. So now you start to understand, okay, Luke, you'd never even been in the division, and they put you with the best guy on the planet. Yeah, okay, maybe you came in second there. I only share that for you because that was a bit of an experiment for Luke. He'd never been at 205 before. Didn't end well. Is he going to go back down? Is he going to stay? I don't know. I'm asking the question. I don't know. He's not an overly big guy, but at the same time, it's not a lot of fun to drop down. He might want to take that stress off of his body, focus on the training, come back at 205. It still leaves me wondering, with who? What are you coming back to, and who are you coming back against? I'm still stuck with that. And to hear from Weidman that he wanted to fight Luke would be more helpful than Luke coming out and calling out Weidman. Because Luke beat Weidman. You see where that gets weird? It's hard for you to call out the guy that you beat. He's kind of got to call you out. I think Luke has a lot of good options. Overall, I think it's pretty good news. Luke coming back, I do think, is pretty interesting. I also think that we're going to get a few answers to a few questions. Both the Luke Rockhold and the Chris Weidman experiment happened at the same time. The experiment being them leaving middleweight and moving up to light heavyweight. Light heavyweight, who was lacking any kind of name power, now has 2 world champions coming up to it. The experiment didn't go well, but I should remind you, Weidman fought Reyes. Rockhold fought Blachowicz. Those 2 fought each other for the belt. Nobody knew at the time, including them, that they were both going in there against the best guys in the world. It wasn't designed that way. And it does also lend you into the question, because I think many people, including those athletes, Weidman and Rockhold, believe one of the problems they had was the size. I don't know that that's what my eyes told me. I think particularly in hindsight, they just ran into better guys. They just ran into some younger fighters that were better, that hadn't been in those opportunities, that made them a little hungry, and they got beat. But I do wonder if I'm right. And I feel as though I'm going to be answered and supported in my thesis here by Adesanya's performance against Blachowicz. Because Adesanya will weigh in lighter than either Weidman or Rockhold weighed in when they fought at 205. Adesanya is projected to weigh in around 193 pounds. Adesanya has openly come out and said, I will not bulk up for this fight. I don't believe in bulking up. I like the way I move. I'm not going to change my physiology. That's a mistake that others have made. I got to tell you, I've never heard anybody say it like that. I have never heard anybody come out and say it. Now, you do wonder, is that gamesmanship? Is Adesanya going to come in? He's tipping the scale at championship weight? I don't think so. No, I think he comes in around 193. That could mean 196. 196 is about 193, right? I mean, when you're not cutting weight, you weigh whatever you weigh. It's going to be very interesting. But if Adesanya goes out there and he moves well with Blachowicz, he can get to the target. He can stay on his feet. He can keep the fight where he wants, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that you need to gather, not just who wins or loses. Blachowicz beats Adesanya, but Adesanya could keep the fight where he wanted. He doesn't get taken down, just by example, because that's a major sign of the size. If Adesanya can get to the target because he has that speed, if Adesanya can deal with some of the power while giving up the size, I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions that get answered here, regardless of outcome of that contest. But if you are Luke Rockhold and you are a former world champion, I can assure with you the mindset, which is he's coming back to get his belt back, which means even if that's in his own head and that's a fantasy, that's still his, and he's got the right to it. He's got the right to be motivated by whatever it is that gets him out of bed in the morning. So if Luke is trying to sit down and come up with the path to a title, I will be very curious what that is. I would be very curious because there is some major opportunity at 185 pounds right now. And I'm seeing guys like Vettori seize on that. Seeing the Tills seize on that. I'm seeing Kelvin Gastelum insert himself and seize on that. I'm not seeing Whitaker and Paulo Costa seize on it. Those guys are in a great spot. Those guys, that will be the looked at fight, but I'm not seeing them squeeze that for every drop. And I'll be curious when Luke comes back, if he's going to hedge that Adesanya leaves and there's more opportunity. I'm just saying there's a lot of thoughts going around. I'm trying to guess what is going through Luke's mind. And we're going to talk more about Luke. We just need one piece of information. When he comes back, is it at 205 or is it at 185?